Hi there, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. If you've been here before, I appreciate your support. Members, double, triple that. I'm so glad to have you. And again, if you're new, I am a Fefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. I am a certified tarot reader, and I'm also a former newspaper journalist. So that gives you an idea for how I approach my readings, kind of, a foot in the factual world and a foot in the spiritual world. I'm also an ordained and initiated priestess in both Wiccan and African traditions. So I got a lot going on in my background. I try to, combine all of that to give you good content in my readings. So today, you all, circle Friday, March 14 on your calendars. It is promising to be quite a day. We have a couple of things going on. I'm not going to read on this today, but we have by the 14th is when the Senate has got to act one way or another on government spending on the bill. So will or will not the government shut down? We're going to look at that closer to that day. We also have astrologically, we have if I'm not mistaken, a partial lunar eclipse in new moon lunar eclipse in Virgo, I believe. All right. So cosmically, we got a lot of energy going on. But what I want to look at today, you all, on the 14th, the veterans have gotten together and put out the call, and there will be a nationwide protest. And in particular, keep your eyes on what happens in the Capitol. The veterans have had enough. They feel extremely betrayed, as you probably have heard by now. They've called for Doge and all the diabolical stuff they've been up to with federal workers, etc. 80,000 jobs in it, with the VA, where so many veterans have talked already about the long wait times and struggling with services, etc. So veterans, and what's incredibly interesting about that, many of us readers and yourselves have seen that there's a turn back where there's a lot of buyer's remorse and regret among the patriots who by and large turned out and voted for F-47 is what I call them. I'm going to stick with that. Think felon, think fake, think F, think that. All right, that's what that F stands for. All right, so I want to take a look at that. I want to see how that's going to go, what we can expect from that. In particular, paying attention to Pete Hegseth. He's not a happy camper to know that this is coming his way, and he got through, by the skin of his chin. So how is he going to respond to that? We're going to take a look at that. Second thing, read a piece in the New York Times that apparently Marco Rubio and others are in discussions to increase the number of Russian diplomats in quotes, read that as spies, or potential spies, but let's call it what we know it's going to be, that are being invited back to D.C. Under the Biden administration in some prior years, given especially with all the election interference that we know was happening with Hillary Clinton, etc. They were pushed out. They were told, no, we're not having that. Well, who, F-47, is saying, no, come on, welcome home. Going to take a look at that. Is that going to happen? Because with everything else that we see, right before our very eyes, in terms of this drastic turn towards relations, cozying up to Putin, now, are you actually bringing these people to D.C.? Diplomats. We're going to take a look at that, see what's going to happen. And finally, you all, want to take a quick look at Amy Coney Barrett. As you know, she has really come under fire by the MAGA movement because of her recent decisions, or how she's come down on the decisions. Interestingly, they haven't had a whole lot to say about Roberts, and he was it took 5 of them, and it was Roberts and Coney Barrett who came down on the U.S. aid, paying that $2 billion. Haven't had a whole lot to say about him, but they are going in on her. She's a DEI after all, blah, blah, blah. Want to take a look and see, because the Supreme Court is just now getting ratcheted up with what they're going to have to do with all of these lawsuits that are being filed against Doge and the administration, in regards to all of these cutbacks and firings. So is she going to hold on? Is she going to, stay strong? We're going to take a look at her. All right, you all, let's go in. Got my deck cleansed, got my little candle going in the background, got my incense going. Let's take a look first at the veterans. March 14, Spirit. They're calling it the 14th Now movement, or at least that's one of the titles that I've seen. The 14th Now movement. How is that going to go, Spirit? And will there be some actual repercussions, and will the administration, will Hegseth et al., F-47, will they have to backtrack on some of this as a result of the resistance by the veterans? The veterans, the 14th Now movement. General Mark Milley is right front and center of that, and he's very well regarded and respected. We have the Prince of Wands that's come at the bottom of the deck after I shuffled. That's a movement. And I will tell you, with that prince would be an equivalent of a page. A page is newer, youthful, a renewed sense. For many veterans, you all, this movement is something that they need, because it is giving them a type of solidarity that they already on some level knew that they had, but this is proof positive. Like, there is a lot of, and the world, ooh, it's going to be big. It's going to be big. The world signals completions very often, but in this case, it also can signal something that has a worldwide impact. In the context of this reading, that's what I'm getting from the guides, this is going to reverberate, because this is not only, thank you, Spirit, this is not only about veterans who have paid their dues, who have supported and dedicated their lives to America, but this is also about recruitment efforts and what Hegseth et al. Are going to need. Remember, a lot of these cuts that are being taken from certain agencies, the design is that they were going to be put into defense. A lot of that money was going to supposedly be put into defense. So this is big. We have the Queen of Cups that comes. I'm not sure who that is. I feel like energetically I don't know who that is, you all. If there's someone who is an extremely high-ranking member, veteran or otherwise, or even someone, a high-ranking member in the administration, who's going to have something to say. I'm not getting a name. Maybe it'll ping some of you. And, oh, I love this. 7 of Wands. And notice the key word on that card is valor. They have crossed a line. This march and this movement is not just going to be about March 14th, and I have the Death card. There will be, is this Death card, Spirit, are they going to have to backtrack? F-47, Doge, are they going to have to backtrack off of this? Ace of Wands. My aces are yes when I'm asking a question like that. And in Wands, fire. They're going to have to do it post haste. This is going to look so bad. Hegseth is not prepared. He's not prepared. He is not going to be, he does not have the, what I'm getting, he does not have the pull. He does not have the respect. He does not have the pull within the higher ranks or the rank and file to be able to excuse this and get those within, whether they are currently enlisted or the veterans, to be able to say, no, this is not the way to go. It is absolutely going to go in the opposite direction. And there is going to be Knight of Discs, a movement to, that's discs, the money, the jobs, the positions. We're going to see some pullback from that, you all. They are not at all prepared for the 7 of Cups. The disillusionment that so many people who have served, currently serving or have served in the armed services in the United States, are feeling completely disillusioned, tricked, and this is coming in cups, meaning there's an emotional response. This is going to be, and has been, very triggering for a lot of veterans who have served this country, perhaps served in combat, direct combat, and are in need of many of the services that are being cut, health services, mental health services, etc. Wow, wow, wow. And finally, we have justice. Come with it, Spirit, justice. This movement by the veterans, this is not, I feel like this will not be a singular event on the 14th due to the response and the coalescing. And this is support, not, Spirit is reminding me, this is support not just from the veterans and the enlisted people themselves, or enlisted service people themselves. This is nationwide, because this is families, this is people who are have for generations been involved in the armed services, right? This is huge. This is huge, you all. Big mistake. Big mistake on their part. Doge, once again, leading F-47 off the cliff. Well, F-47 probably standing on the cliff already, like that would, whatever. No sympathy. For entertainment purposes only, got to put that in there a couple of times. But yeah, keep your eye on the 14th. This is going to talk about feeling patriotic and seeing continuing to see a growing resistance, and the people's voice, right? I keep going back to Tim Walz last week. I can't remember who he was talking to, but when asked who's in charge of the Democrats at this point, he said the voting public. And whether or not these were many people who will participate were a part of the MAGA movement or registered Republicans, this is going to rattle like earthquake level rattling is what I'm getting. All right. So keep your eye, circle that date, circle Friday. All right. New York Times talked about, broke a story around the efforts, there's a diplomatic mission headed by Marco Rubio, of course, Secretary of State, to invite Russian diplomats, quote unquote, let's call it what it is, spies, back to the United States. Let them come on over here. We don't have to set up a Zoom call. We don't have to get on a plane and fly and see one another. We could come on home. Come on to DC. We got plenty of room for you right here. Gonna take a look and see how that, if in fact that is what's underway, and how that's going to go. If there will be a stop put to that, or something where what's going to be done to mitigate their access to intelligence to have them here. Death. Ooh, at the bottom of the deck. Why is death here? Is that going to stop before it starts? Oh, okay. Money, wealth, Ten of Pentacles with the Prince of Discs. I don't know why I'm hearing Ukraine in the midst of this. I'm getting something, you all, that part of the reason that these talks have started about because Russia, the Kremlin has been saying in regards to, whatever's going to happen with these peace talks regarding Ukraine, what's in it for us. And I think part of what, Spirit, am I getting that right? Part of what's happening is the Kremlin is saying, in order for us to proceed, and we got to know what we're getting out of it. It's not just about encroaching on Ukraine's territory or maintaining the territory that they have taken during this 3-year war, but also what else can we get? We want something more from you, U.S., and that would be access to you. You're going to open up the doors. We're going to get a lot more from you. The High Priestess, watching. Their intentions are more than what they are revealing. We've said this before. Spirit has been so clear. F-47 is getting played, and he's always gotten played by Putin. Putin has always been, and whether he sees it and he continues to do it because of whatever Putin supposedly has on him, we've been hearing about that for many years, the secret tapes, whatever, for entertainment purposes only. But the High Priestess can very often indicate something that is not yet seen or revealed. The Moon Gosh, doubling down on it. Not yet seen or revealed. This is very, very underhanded, and I feel like that's on both sides, you all. That's on, of course, the Kremlin is got its little agenda, right? Or not little agenda, they got their agenda for wanting to get their mitts back on Washington DC and be an insider and for intelligence purposes. But also I'm getting the impression this is on the part of F-47's administration. They're not being straight because they see long-term victory. They see long-term financial benefits to giving Russia more access. Dang. Yeah, that's what it is. Three of Wands. This deciding to recalibrate who the United States is closely allied with. Will this go through, or will there be interference? Will there be interference? Will Marco Rubio, Three of Swords, it's going to cause such a headache for him, because we already know, thank you, and the Magician comes to confirm that this is going to blow back on Marco Rubio. Remembering as well that Marco and Elon had their blow up, which we only got a tinge of that, right? We only got what we got in the reporting. So imagine what we didn't get, what was said behind closed doors. There was some F-bombs and some MF bombs and some, ooh, wow. If we could have only been in those rooms, right? Or in that room when that was happening between them. But the sorrow, the Three of Swords with that Magician, I'm getting a real strong feeling this is going to blow back on Marco Rubio spectacularly. And as a result of that, he could really be in the hot seat. Remembering, F-47 has no loyalty. And so to the extent that Eight of Cups, you all, I've got some questions. I'm getting increasing question marks about how long Rubio's going to last. He's standing with them strong now, and according to, continued conflict, Five of Wands, and according to what we heard about that blow up between Rubio and Elon, F-47 came down on the side of Elon and said, "Yo, I need you to chill out for a minute. Let Marco, let my cabinet members do their thing. You can't ride roughshod over them." So let them do their thing. But if they don't, I'll turn it back over to you. Meaning F-47 saying that about Doge and Elon. But that did not go over well. That has not gone over well, because it still feels like a threat over their head. Remember, these people who've been confirmed, whether or not they were competent, and we all know about that, they still have egos. They still think, okay, I'm top dog in charge now in these various areas. So that conflict, that Five of Wands we just saw, that conflict's not going anywhere as it relates to Russia and inviting these diplomats over here. Not going to go well. But the blowback is first and foremost going to be on Rubio for helping to orchestrate it, and then what's her name? The one that already we were like, she's a for entertainment purposes only, a Russian operative, and she was still given that position. Her name's not coming. Somebody will put it in the comments. You know who I'm talking about. People are like, cannot believe this is happening. Yeah, that's not going to go well. If in fact it is approved, there's going to be something done to shut them down. And as a result of a lot of this resistance that we see happening, growing resistance, I think we will also see conservative members in Congress, Spirit is saying, who will begin to, one way or another, remember we had that high priestess, so even if it's secretive, even if we don't really get the news headlines telling us the facts of what's happening, there will be a concerted effort to keep them off our grounds, remembering as well that the diehard MAGAs are not diehard Russian lovers. Period. They do. Their whole thing was that this was supposed to be about, America for Americans. So now you bringing them back over here to DC? Yeah, not happening. Or if it does happen, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna go according to plan. All right. Finally, y'all, I want to take a look at Amy Coney Barrett. Again, you've heard she has come under attack by conservatives. She's being called a traitor, because of how she's come down. Will she hold? Will Amy Coney Barrett hold, Spirit? First, I want to take a look at her. How is she feeling about these attacks that have been, that are being levied against her? How is she? What's her state of mind? How is she responding to these attacks? Oh wow, she's stressed. Five of Swords at the bottom of the deck. We saw that. Look, there were some memes that went around at the State of the Union last week, where when F-47 came down, when he went over on the hot mic and told Justice Roberts, my dude, thank you so much for looking out for me, and the way she looked at him when he went by. Yeah, and she's coming up as the Empress. She recognizes her power. She recognizes her power in particular as being a very crucial vote within the Supreme Court. Nine of Swords. She's frightened. She didn't see this coming. But we've got the Two of Pentacles here. She's leaning on Roberts. That's her, because remember, those were the two on that USA $2 billion decision. Those were the two. She's leaning on him. Some of her, and the Queen of Pentacles, that's somebody else. I don't know if that's Kagan. I'm not feeling Sotomayor or I don't know. Jackson. But that's somebody on the other side that she also is leaning on, or will. And dang, here comes the, we already had the Nine of Swords, and here comes the 10. I think, but remember too, when you get a 10 of Swords, it's almost like a breaking point. It's the worst of the worst. It's where you're stressed beyond measure, but there's nowhere to go from that. So it's almost like a breakthrough. Like she's going to hit she's going to hit a plateau behind all of this. Behind all of this pushback and vitriol being directed at her, she's going to hit a plateau. What will she do in response to that, Spirit? Will she hold strong? Yeah. Magician. I saw one and got excited with the Ace. But Magician. Mercury. Communication. Queen of Swords. Her decisions. Logical. Rational, based on the law, upholding the Constitution. Four Swords, getting clear, regrouping, finding her own center as she moves forward. Because there's a lot that's going to be coming at the Supreme Court, you all. A lot. We have all of those lawsuits out there. Now, of course, not all of them are going to land with SCOTUS, but a sufficient number where this whole premise of presidential immunity and executive power is coming to bear. And there's an 8 of Pentacles. This is the card with the 10 of Cups. This is the court as a whole on behalf of the citizenry. And I don't want to read too much into that or get too hopeful about that, because SCOTUS has been so questionable, right? So questionable. The Roe decision alone, like, unforgivable, period. I don't care who changes what at this point. Unforgivable that ever even happened. The immunity decision, unforgivable. But there's the 8 of Pentacles is a card of skill set. It's a card of mastery. It's a card of roll up your sleeves and do what it is that you were appointed to do. Do your job. Do your job. As it looks right now, you all, unless something, nefarious, and temperance. Being temperance, two polarities, the more liberal side of the court and this extreme fascist side of the court, and in between. How do I sit between those two things and alchemize it in between? The hard right and the left, and here she is trying to alchemize, going in between the two to reach her own conclusions. We might, Amy Coney Barrett, maybe we didn't see some of this coming, and again, not going too far, and not ready to invite her to the sisterhood circle, and or the have a spa day or friendship bracelets. We're not doing all of that, but I do think that as it looks right now, Coney Barrett is going to hold the line. She's going to continue to do what she feels is genuinely her job as a Supreme Court justice. Okay, all right, you all. Circle the 4th. I keep saying the 4th. Circle March 14. Take really good care of yourselves. Be safe out there. We got this. It's a long haul. We know it, but we're going to get there. And we just got to look out for each other. Take care of each other, right? Thank you again for your support for me here on the channel. I appreciate you so, so very much. And I'll talk to you real soon. Talk to you in a couple of days. Bye.